Buick Regal TourX. This is a lifestyle wagon.
It's not an SUV, it's a car for me, and we'll someday see what we're meant to be.
I was talking about trucks with my landlord last month, and he said, "Brian, my dad used to say, if you don't have an 8-foot bed, you don't have a truck." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he says, "Well, most building supplies, lumber, drywall, piping, joists, studs, metal, or whatever, they're all sold in 8-foot sections." "Oh," I said. And he said, "Yeah, you have a 6-foot bed or some non-standard size, you're hanging your materials over the side at an angle with an orange rag on the end, making everybody nervous." And I said, I never thought of it that way. Come to think of it, I see those Ford Explorer trucks everywhere, and that box, what do they call it, the Ford Sport Track or something, and they have that box on the back, and I don't think it can hold anything larger than a push mower. Or gravel, he said. Or gravel, yeah. So I came back up here to write my half of the script, and I started thinking about the Honda Ridgeline with its angled box sides, and the Subaru Baja with its non-box, and that Ford Explorer Sport Track, and the Chevy Avalanche. They all have these weird boxes that aren't ideal for Rockwellian work. And if not Rockwellian, then Bachman-Turner Overdrivian. Those are lifestyle trucks, vehicles for cosplaying as a 16-on-center carpenter. And this is a lifestyle station wagon. The tapered roof, the angled sides, the low suspension, the fancy wheels. Can this wagon swallow a refrigerator on its side? No. GM sacrifice utility by chasing contemporary style. Remember this Buick wagon? This is a wagon. Outdated, ugly as a front-facing duck. And it can swallow full sheets of plywood with the seats folded down. Buick Regal TourX. A car for saying, I drive a wagon. TourX. Brought to you by advertisements on the side of your wagon boasting that you own a wagon. Like Wagon Mafia or Radio Flyer. Get it? So real wagons get thrown around on the highway because their boxy shape is a sail. But the TourX is so streamlined, it cuts like a sedan. And with 250 horsepower from a Turbo 4, it moves out of its own way, further distancing itself from that wagon feel. Buick Regal TourX. For the driver who smokes weed vapes, but only if they're grape or root beer flavored. TourX. The official car of your friend Billy, but now he wants you to call him Brody. He talks about Copper Mountain all the time, but when you finally go skiing with him, you find he uses his poles to stop. TourX. For appearing idealistic enough to get with a earthy Westphalia girl, and then dumping said ideals and her the moment the market turns bullish. The 2019 Buick Regal TourX is another station wagon sacrifice at the altar of the SUV demigods. Silly as the concept might seem, you wouldn't think a station wagon would fit in just fine in this era of soft lines and curves, unchallenging performance, and a general sense of national familiarity. A station wagon is a spoonful of stew over a slice of Wonder Bread. If Ken Block's new rally-spec Fox Body Mustang is the automotive equivalent of taking every drug in God's medicine cabinet before igniting a blowtorch in a poorly ventilated room, then a station wagon is a warm glass of milk before bed, because warm lemon water is too spicy. This is a peaceful car, like a ceasefire between the exotic car community and everybody else. This Regal features a 2-liter inline-4 LTG turbo and an Ison 8-speed automatic transmission. Power rating is around 250 horsepower with about 295 pound-feet of torque. This has all-wheel drive with an active twin clutch, with a fuel economy of around 20 miles per gallon city and 29 highway. Available features include rear cross-traffic alert and lane change alert with side blind zone alert. This was built on the E2XX platform, the successor of the Opel Epsilon 2 platform. The goal is weight reduction, with a longer wheelbase and an improved interior. Now this was accomplished by mostly forking the Epsilon 2 platform. It's going for that dynamic appeal. The idea that while it's a station wagon, it doesn't exist solely to get driven off to college by some legacy with a 2.1 GPA. Yeah, the TourX is the first station wagon in the Buick fleet since the death of the Roadmaster in 1996, but the TourX is an Opel Insignia, built in Germany and shipped over here, complete with a bill of landing to show for it. Doesn't say Buick on it. There it is, Opel. The problem is that Buick has always been in this weird intermediate state above Chevrolet but beneath Cadillac. Now this really started in the 70s when General Motors consolidated all their drivelines. Buick became a middle child, whose older sibling is a valedictorian, and whose younger sibling is so alpha he became captain of the football team sophomore year. Buick is the market pantry orange juice of affordable luxury, and that's fine for their demographic. But the problem is that you get a lot of rebadged Opels and uninspired SUVs that make those Opel knockoffs look obsolete because they sell better. Case in point, Buick is discontinuing the TourX in North America after this year to pivot toward focusing on their more popular SUV line, marking the end of 113 years of car production for Buick in North America. It's not as if that doesn't make any sense, even with the Regal name and whatever weight it might still have in the car community. The TourX was up against stuff like the BMW 3 Series Wagon and the Subaru Outback. You could almost say that Buick took a risk to even bother with this thing. Aaron got the last of the TourX models on the lot at the end of December last year, which is around the time Buick announced that this would be the last year of the TourX. Originally, the dealer had wanted $39,000 for it, but by the time Aaron tracked one down, the dealership was so desperate to be rid of it that they gave it to Aaron for $29,000. And Aaron pretty much summed up the value of this car and its relative limitations in a single introductory sentence he offered to us. It's a great car for one person. And it's true. Because it's not really here to offer convenience to any more than a single person. You notice anything about this car? Something so subtle that I didn't even catch it until Roman relayed it to me from Aaron after the fact. Where are the cup holders? They're hidden. Here they are. And there they go again. It's like a giant middle finger to the concept of friendship, to the unslain dragon of family expectations. When are you going to give me grandchildren, Simon? Looks like never. I mean, I drive a TourX wagon, and I don't see any cup holders, so where would little Jenny's cup of plain Cheerios go, other than in the trash when she inevitably spills them everywhere? Frickin' parents. Always expecting you to continue the family line as if a dynasty depends on it. Well, considering you never got started on that garden you spent years hoarding materials for, Mom, I'd say I learned how to waste seed from you. As far as storage goes, again, not much room in here. Mainly just a hole in the back for a road triangle and a first aid kit, since this was brought over from Germany where it's against the law not to have a first aid kit in your car. No spare tire here, just a subwoofer and fix-a-flat where the spare tire would have been. As if to say, learn how to fix your own problems, Jared. I'm not your marriage counselor. General Motors has this lovely thing they do where they make or bring a great car to the Canadian and American market and never advertise it, and then wonder why it doesn't sell. They did this with the SS or Holden Commodore. They did it with the Trailblazer SS, the Lumina Z34, and the Chevy Bolt. And now they brought over an Opel Insignia from mainland Europe, called it a Buick, gave it a turbo, but didn't give it a working SIM card or a map of campus. Opel's English is passable, but they can't translate nuance or mimic our dental consonants. Opel missed orientation, and here it is on the first day of class, making glottal stops all over the place and asking directions to the washroom. How does it drive? Like a highway stealth speeder. A turbo naturally quiets exhaust noise. Thank you, GM Opel, for not artificially making this wagon loud. High speed is drama-free thanks to its long wheelbase, and it has unwagon-like flat cornering, which is achieved by firm suspension. Though I do wonder how much the rear of this TourX will sag if you do find a way to load up the rear. I don't know, lots of bags of mulch or something like that. There's not much suspension travel to begin with. You are going to have to wait for the turbo to boost, though. There is 1990s era lag with the power, so it's not a whole shot car. Instead, This is a 50 to 100 mile per hour surge machine. Don't drag race in this, you're going to embarrass yourself. Use a TourX for passing a train of Chevy Equinoxes, third-gen Caravans, and Hyundai Accents all in one go. I'm going to close with some advice here. While this is a General Motors product in the United States and presumably will have General Motors part numbers, you will have to do the work of the parts counter clerk before you walk in. That means you're going to have to go online, research and cross-reference part numbers for consumables before going to Advance Auto or a dealership. You want to know how to be a good customer? Walk in with the part numbers written down on a piece of paper legibly. Go up to the clerk and say, "Hi, I'm looking for this PN," and then hand them a Post-it note. It'll speed up the time between now and when you hear, "I don't have a crank position sensor for a 2019 Buick Regal TourX. The nearest one I have is at store 858 in Bangor, Maine. What would you like me to do?"
I know you want an SUV so we can start our family, but we're moving too fast. I think we're moving too fast. We don't need cup holders just to show we belong together. And good things come to those who wait, so I'm asking you to trust me and stay. Just stay.